Human sacrifice, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. If you've seen Ghostbusters, you'll remember Bill Murray's comedic role in this amazing film that we tend to watch around Halloween that has continued to make us laugh even after all the years that it's been made. We have seen Bill Murray as our comedic actor all throughout our lives, just as well as Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. We remember seeing Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire running around the house doing chores while rocking out to Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith. And we've also seen Jim Carrey acting as a pet detective, Ace Ventura. I plan on educating everybody on Bill Murray's life and hopefully his films, and hope that you will love him as much as I do. He's my favorite actor, and I have watched almost all of his movies because he makes me laugh so much. His main goal is to get people to laugh, and he has given us such classic movies such as Ghostbusters and Groundhog's Days and What About Bob? And he is one person to admire because of his great acting skills. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Bill Murray and his early life, and then we'll get into his early career and his filmmaking business and what he's up to now. I'm just going to get into Bill Murray's early life just a little bit. He was born in Illinois, September 21st, 1950. With a large family. He had 8 siblings, and 3 of which are actually famous also, who are also actors. As a teen, he was a golf caddy, and he was in a rock band, the lead singer, which I found very interesting and funny. And he also participated a lot in high school theater and the community theater around his hometown. Once he was ready to go to college, he went to attend Regis University studying pre-med classes and quickly dropped out, realizing he didn't want to do that, and he returned home. Years later, he was actually awarded a doctorate in humanities from Regis University, which I found interesting, and he was able to continue his education. After doing his education for a little while, he decided to work in an improv group in Chicago, courtesy of his brother Brian, who was one of the famous actors. And he worked at this improv comedic group for quite some time until he decided to pack up and move to New York City, where he got his first break, and he decided to work at the National Lampoon's Radio Hour. And he worked there for a little while, but then he decided to work at an off-Broadway show of Lampoon, and it led to his first TV opportunity, which resulted in an ABC SNL with Howard Castle, which became pretty big for a little while, and then it canceled, and he decided to move to LA because of it. And that's when he reached his high note in his career, and he was able to get onto the NBC's SNL, Saturday Night Live, which I'm sure a lot of people remember from either their childhood or just continuing growing up watching these comedic skits. He remained with the cast for 3 seasons from 1977 to 1980, and he became very famous very quickly. After working with SNL for so long, he got his first break in the film industry and came out with his first movie titled Meatballs in 1979. For those of you who don't know this film, and I highly recommend that you watch it, Bill Murray plays the main character of a camp counselor at a summer camp with a whole bunch of young kids, and goes out of his way to be funny and pull pranks on the head counselor and bring trouble like he always does in every movie that he's in. But he's also there to help the kids whenever they need it. After that film came out in the early 80s, he came out with 3 box hits, which included Caddyshack, which is a golf movie where he didn't even say that many words in the movie, but he was comedic throughout the entire thing just because of his actions. Stripes, which was a military movie that featured one of the co-stars that he worked with on Ghostbusters. They enrolled into the army and were supposed to be the worst people there, but became one of the best. And his other film, Tootsie. Throughout these years of working on film, he appeared on many talk shows, including Late Night Show with David Letterman, and he appeared on his very first show and his very last one that occurred just last year. After that, he worked on this movie entitled Razor's Edge, which was based on a novel, but he wanted to work on it so bad, but lacked the money and the financial stability to do so. So he made a deal with Columbia Pictures that if he agreed to be in a movie that they wanted him in, that they would give him the money to properly finance his movie. And that movie came out to be one of the greatest movies ever. The movie that they made him take a deal to get his money was Ghostbusters, which became the biggest hit of 1984 and is still a major hit today. We still see people wearing Ghostbusters shirts and knowing the theme song like nobody's business. After Bill Murray filmed Ghostbusters, he finally was able to get the money to film The Razor's Edge, and unfortunately it wasn't taken as well as Ghostbusters was and flopped as a movie. So after that, Bill Murray decided to take a break from the film industry and spend time with his family. But finally, he came back in 1988 to film some more and give us some more laughs. The next movie he came out with was Scrooged, which is based off of the familiar Christmas story of Ebenezer Scrooge, and he plays the main character, who is a hard man who hates everybody and only cares about his money, and is warm-hearted towards the end of the movie, but Bill Murray brings his comedic behavior with him throughout the entire movie. And after he filmed Scrooge, he also filmed Groundhog Day, which is one of his most popular films that he made. It's about a weatherman who relives Groundhog Day over and over again until he becomes a good man. The next movie that he did after Groundhog Day is a familiar one that we all know from our childhood, which had the famous Michael Jordan and our favorite cartoon characters, the Looney Tunes. And that movie was Space Jam. He wasn't through the entire movie, but he appeared as himself, and he was able to save the day at the end of the movie to show up at the basketball team at the game and win the game with the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan. Even though some of his movies flopped, like The Razor's Edge, that happens to all actors, and he still continued to film no matter what. Another series that he did afterwards that wasn't taken as well at the box office was a series entitled The Man Who Knew Too Little, which I love that series, and I thought it was very funny and very Bill Murray. He is known as a man in that one who wants to be an actor and accidentally gets caught up in real life crime while he thinks he's acting the entire movie. And even though that film flopped a little bit afterwards, he still continued to do film. Then later in his life, he still continues to do films today. His most recent one was one entitled Aloha, which had Bradley Cooper and Emma Stone and Rachel McAdams, where they were on a military camp and they all were working on projects in Hawaii. That one was taken pretty well also. But throughout Bill Murray's life, he has received many awards because of all of his amazing films that he was able to do. He's received a few Golden Globes and awards for the Best Actor and the Best Supporting Actor, and he's had over 55 nominations just because of his films. I know I bombarded you guys with a lot of his factual information, but I also think it's important to know these things about my favorite actor, Bill Murray, and I highly recommend you go watch every single one of his movies as much as you can. I would love for you to get started, and I hope you take this challenge. Thanks for listening.